Hello, and welcome to the Liquidity event. We're your hosts, AJ.
And I'm Shane.
This is episode 58. You are Shane with a raspy-ass voice. This is episode 58 being recorded on September 7th, 2022, airing on a podcast app or YouTube channel near you on Friday, September 9th. It's Friday, September 9th, 2022. How you doing, Shane?
Good. What podcast app do you use?
You know, typically I use Overcast, but it's been sluggish for me. So I've actually gone back to Apple Podcasts recently, and it's pretty good. I know you use
I use Pocket Cast, the paid version. Yeah. Big fan of paying for apps.
Yeah, I pay for Overcast, but for some reason it's just been really slow. Like when I'm out and about, not on Wi-Fi, and I'm searching for a new podcast, it just won't play for me. So I got really frustrated. I went back to Apple.
Yeah, seems like a key component of a podcast app.
Yes, to be able to find a new podcast and listen to it. Speaking of which, are you watching, reading, or listening to anything good these days?
Two things that I've been watching, very uncharacteristic of me, House of Hammer, the Army Hammer true crime doc. That's funny. That guy's really handsome for a cannibal.
Army Hammer is incredibly handsome.
Right. But he wants to eat people. So there's that. I think he would dig it too. It goes back. It's like a lot of old money stuff. It goes back like 4 generations. I think his grandfather had like President Kennedy
Hammers.
On the phone.
Yeah, the Hammer Museum in Los Angeles.
Why name your kid Army? Is that an old name? That's not. I don't feel like that's one of those like.
Because the dad's Armand, right?
Chester. Right. The great grandfather's Armand.
Right. Great grandfather.
It's like naming your son Jackie.
I don't know. I'm not naming my kid Army.
Yeah. Anyway, really annoying.
Or Allie.
Well, that's not your. Well, yeah, that is your legal name. Yeah. What is that? Where does Allie come from? That's your old French. No, I take it back. It's a cool name.
Yeah. Anyway.
Alexandra. And then Rings of Power, of course. Amazon's Tolkien.
Really?
Extension of the universe.
So the podcast that I was trying to listen to in my podcast app and failed was like I was listening to a lot of like podcast recaps of the Rings of Power, the first 2 episodes that came out last week, after having watched them a couple times through myself. You're
trying to do a BTS on Rings of Power behind the scenes?
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to talk about it and say that it's so good. And I set my expectations low and they were greatly exceeded. You still haven't seen it, right?
I mean, I was in the room when it was played.
Oh my God. You're giving me so much shit last week. You're like, she's not a real fan, folks, because I didn't watch it on Thursday night when it came out because I had a previous engagement. Anyways.
How was your party?
It was great. It was me and Josie and Michelle hanging out, and Josie passed out in the first 10 minutes.
Nice.
And Michelle and I nerded out until about 2 a.m. and it was wonderful.
Speaking of nerding out, you have a
I did.
legit full spreadsheet about a micro-cap IPO that you're going to go through right now. Is that what's happening? That's
what's going to happen. Folks, I do have an IPO deep dive this week. The size of the IPO is not terribly exciting. They're trying to raise $17 million. But I was very interested in what's going on here. So the company is called Asset Entities. And I gave this an 11 out of 10 on the snake oil scale. Because I couldn't actually figure out what they do. They're from their S1. So we pulled their S1, which is the document that they have there. So they're filing to register securities because they want to go public and be listed on the NASDAQ. They just filed last week. And so from their prospectus, they say Asset Entities is a technology company providing social media marketing and content delivery services across Discord, TikTok, and other social media platforms. We also design, develop, and manage servers for communities on Discord. So it's a boutique marketing firm for Discord. Like, what is that? But when you dive into the S1 a little bit, basically they keep talking about how they're like a lot of their IP and a lot of their value is in the followings that their founders have, that they're hugely influential on social media. They're very active in the TikTok investors forum. But I went to look up their follower accounts, and I don't know so much about TikTok, but I feel like you have to have millions of followers on TikTok. And across the 3 founders that are mentioned as like the big influencers, they have less than 1.5 million. Like they barely break 1 million. So that was like the first like sus. What's going on here? What else? They made less than $1 million last year. I know this big warning was the company's independent registered public accounting firm has expressed substantial doubt to the company's abilities to continue as a growing concern. So the accounting firm that they had to hire, this third-party auditor, basically says they have doubt that the company can actually function anymore because of the way that they're spending money at this time. So that's a bit of a red flag for a company that's trying to go public and trying to deliver value to investors here. Shane, you said you're familiar with these guys. You've seen videos of them before.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've just seen some of their videos pop up, which are very funny. It's like I probably saw it on Twitter or Instagram, probably on Instagram, where it was originally posted on TikTok because I'm in my mid-30s, so that's how I watch TikTok. So it's just a video of like an incredibly young kid holding a Shure microphone and just speaking with such, what's the confidently incorrect or such sincere confidence about a topic that he surely doesn't know much about. He's talking about real estate investing, and he's like very much like a 6 a.m. conversation that you would have with your friends over drugs. Like, listen here, bro. Like, you just get one. you get this one house,
might
right?
have this conversation.
It's like, you get this one house,
and it multiplies, and you put all your equity in it. You lever it the fuck up over and over again. You multiply, and you're printing money.
You do it again. You do it again. You get another loan. You go out there with like the equity in the first house. It's going to go up in value, so you can take out a line of credit because of the equity on that house. You go buy another one. It's like, yeah, dog, we understand how like mortgages work and like how equity works and like how being over leveraged is. I guess when 2008 happened, you were 6 years old. So that makes a lot of sense for that not to be a part of your mentality.
Understanding.
This is the first recession. Right. This is the first recession. The last recession that this person's been through, elementary school. So yeah,
and look, we're young. Like, I don't like to knock people. I don't like to knock young people for trying. And at the end of the day, maybe they started this company with the, we're going to bring investment advice to the masses. Why should there be gatekeepers? I'm on board with that. But essentially, they're making money off of getting referral fees from crypto platforms, and the business model appears to be very thin. This is a no from me, dog.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, whatever.
Oh, you're into it?
I don't give a shit. What are they going to do? They have an advertising company for TikTok and Discord, and they're going public. They're trying to raise $15 million.
So Brooklyn FI has more cash reserves than this company, by the way.
Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Whatever. I mean, they're trying to raise $15 million to do what? It's like, what are they going to use the money for? What's the purpose of the money? Did you find that in the S1?
Didn't get that far. No. No, I mean, it's very thin. Like, there's not a lot of, like, it's like building out. What did they say here?
Our future performance depends on the ability of our co-founders and leading social media influencers, Arsha, Kyle, and Jackson, and Armon there we go. There's another army to retain and grow their social media followings and fan base by creating quality content. So they're trying to raise $17 million to get famous
to get famous on TikTok. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, fuck that. Like, I hate that. That sounds terrible, but I don't know. I mean, I would bet the rest of my future income that all these kids' parents are rich and they are just taking their shot. Because you can when you've got rich parents. You can just shoot a shot when you're in your early 20s, and if you miss, it doesn't matter because you've got the safety of retreating to your family's money.
Yeah, that's and I would imagine someone's helping out with, you should talk to, Billy, our friend next door. He's a securities lawyer. He'll help you get the registration done. Like, why not,
Right. I'm sure there's a lot of family money wrapped up in limited partnerships, and like the family probably needs tax write-offs. So let's throw a 1% of our family's net worth at the kids. I mean, I've seen other kids also start crypto startups that were clients of ours. And I say kids, I just mean anyone in their 20s and have 2 or 3 commas behind their names at this point. I don't know. Actually, since the crypto crash, I don't know if that's still the case or if those specific SPACs ended up going through. I need to check in on that actually, but shoot your shot while you can. I don't know.
Speaking of shooting your shot while you can, Elon Musk.
Oh, we're done with this IPO deep dive? Okay.
Yeah. Elon Musk disagreed with me and thinks the Rings of Power is garbage. On Sunday, he tweeted, "Tolkien is turning in his grave." Almost every male character is so far a coward, a jerk, or both. Only Galadriel is brave, smart, and nice. Welcome to the real world, Elon. So Elon hates Lord of the Rings of Power because there are not enough strong male characters.
Yeah, I mean...
If you had seen it, you'd be able to weigh in on this.
I've seen the show. Leave me alone. Yeah, I mean, no surprise that Elon has a neckbeard opinion about the show. Like, yeah, I mean, he's going to have
the same hairdo? Sorry, side note. Are we have the same hairdo today?
Don't distract me from my take on the Rings of Power, please.
Wait, show me the back of your head. If you're listening on the pod, you should check out the YouTube.
You got to speak into the mic when you're going to make fun of my hairdo.
Good Legolas situation going. I would take a snow troll over this troll any day. Anyways.
I saw the snow troll scene. It's a great scene. Yeah.
Okay. I should have said spoiler alert, but there's a snow troll.
What is your... Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, snow troll. What is your take on the content of the show? Don't you have some behind the scenes on what can and can't be included?
Oh, yeah. So I didn't know this going into the show, but in the about 6 hours of content, I watched for people who did all the research.
Oh, you did a cocktail party, conversation, research of podcasts and behind the scenes. Gotcha.
1,000%. 1,000%. Yeah, I have not read the Silmarillion in many years, and I think I probably read the first 50 pages, and I will admit that I'm not that depth that's not my love of Lord of the Rings. My love is the movies and the Lord of the Rings books, which fits well with the series because that's the rights they have. So they don't even have rights to the Silmarillion. So the Silmarillion is sort of the historical telling of the first age of Lord of the Rings, of the world of Middle-earth. So we don't even have rights to that. So they're kind of limited. So you're going to see... So for those of you who are not huge Lord of the Rings fans, the series will feel very familiar because it's all tied to the movies. Those are the rights they have. They're trying to make the people happy, which I think is a good thing. That's what Peter Jackson did, right? He took this unfilmable thing and made it into 3 pretty long but succinct movies.
Yeah, I love the background on how they Peter Jackson took it to couldn't sell it. Ended up at
11 studios. Ended up at New Line.
He went to Weinstein first at Miramax, and he tried to make it into 2 movies. And then he's like, all right, well, I'll make it in 2 movies. Can you imagine how bad that would have sucked? And then he went back and he said, actually, I think I need you to make it into 1 movie. And then that wasn't going to work, and New Line Cinema saved them. And the orc from the second movie is made Weinstein to resemble Weinstein as the ugliest orc, like the orc captain from the second movie. So a little fun detail. Anyway, that's enough Lord of the Rings for one episode of the Liquidity event.
Do you want to start a Rings of Power watch party podcast with me?
Yeah, I'm sure there's not enough of those in Apple
Music. There's only 6.
Okay, right on. We'll just add financial planning takes. How can they afford all those bows and arrows? Or what's the interest rate?
Yeah, what's the I mean, basically elves must have some kind of social security administration going on, right? But it has to last for thousands of years, not hundreds of years.
Right. Well, we got to switch from the gold standard to the mithril standard. But that didn't happen until the Third Age when...
Right, when the wizard showed up and raised all the interest rates, and then it all went to shit. Anyways, speaking of wizards showing up and saving the world, Mark Cuban, you may know him as the owner of the sports team that I'm going to forget because I don't know anything about sports, and very successful investor, great all-around philanthropist, co-host of Shark Tank. He's got a new pharmacy startup called Cost Plus Drugs, and he is trying to cut out the middleman for generic drugs. So if you have a drug that has a patent, a drug company's patents expire after 20 years. So that's the point at which we start to get those cheaper generic versions. But even so, those have a big markup. So he's trying to take those generic drugs directly to the people at prices they can afford. It's brand new, launched this year, but so far the jury seems to think it's pretty successful. Thoughts here?
Yeah, it's making waves. Essentially, it takes the exact cost of generic drugs and adds a $5 shipping fee, and then a $3 handling fee, and then a 15% profit margin on top of it.
Love transparency.
Yeah. I think it cuts down a lot on the administration of the company when it comes to figuring out prices. The article that we have here from CNBC points out that it's only currently working with generic drugs. and not brand name drugs. So these are drugs that have passed their 20-year of intellectual property or trademarking or what have you, so that other people can make the drugs generically. There still will remain a brand name that will probably have a lot more market share, and the generics don't have the name and the brand that the brand names will. So it's really just a drop in the bucket when you compare it to brand name drugs. And you know what really makes me think about this? Like supposedly 80% of the costs or the drug expenditures go to the brand name drugs that are within their 20 years. I always think about the American system that we have. Like, yes, pharmaceuticals are very expensive because we create the brand name drugs here, right? Like if there was no incentive, I worry about incentives a lot. Like people come in with pharmaceutical policy changes. Like, okay, so the brand name drugs are where most of the money's going because they're the brand new drugs that solve all the problems, right? Like, is that the case? Like, are people spending all this money on all these drugs because they're the new drugs that have been recently invented to solve problems, right?
Yes.
Like,
but I mean, that's
like a good side effect of our system. The bad side effect is that it's super expensive. But is it super expensive because you really need those drugs because they're the new stuff? Yeah.
Right. It's like we haven't fixed cancer, but every time a new cancer drug comes out, it costs thousands and thousands of dollars because it's the first time it's ever been done before, and it's been tested and tested. Testing is so expensive. Getting FDA approval is so expensive.
Yeah.
But at what point? But I agree with you.
The drugs wouldn't exist without
the
profit
incentives
motive,
of the pharmaceutical executives making millions and millions of dollars. Otherwise, I mean, that was the failure of communism, is lack of innovation, right? So if we take away the incentives for innovation, what are we left with?
Yeah.
I still think drugs should be cheaper. This is like opposite.
Oh, wow,
Market,
really went on a limb there.
Yeah. hot take, you guys.
You're gonna get a lot of votes with that one.
Hot take.
Lower taxes, same amount of spending. We're gonna be good.
Student loans forgiven.
Yeah.
Free healthcare. This is like the opposite of what Martin Shkreli did. First of all, it's like side note. Are you using Capsule, by the way, for your prescription drugs?
I do not have any prescription drugs, so...
You've never needed to get a prescription filled in the past 2 years?
Voluntarily, I got some ADHD meds that I take sometimes.
Okay.
But no, that's it. Yeah. I've been very fortunate health-wise, yes.
Lucky. Anyway, for those of us with underlying conditions, Capsule is an incredible, if you're not using it, this is not an ad. I just love this service so much. You sign up when you go to your doctor, you tell them your pharmacy is Capsule. It's in New York City. It's in many big cities. It's not just specific to New York. And
also,
Capsule,
the branding was done by our clients.
Really? Awesome.
Yes.
I love the branding. Yeah. The branding's great. The app is great. You literally get a text that says your prescription is ready. When do you want it? And you say, I want it in 2 hours, 4 hours, or tomorrow. And somebody shows up at your house and you sign for your drug, and it comes in a cute little bag. And the cost, I haven't done like a cost comparison, but I don't think it's terribly disruptive. I don't think it's that much different from just like your CVS around the corner. It doesn't seem like there's that much of a markup for the level of service. Somebody literally showing up at your house.
Sorry, there's an ambulance in my house. I'm going to let you keep rocking.
I thought you were like, hurry the fuck up. I thought that's what that meant. Oh, you meant keep talking? Okay. Speaking of talking while we wait for Shane's ambulance to pass, I've got a really boring update here, is that the SEC issues its first fee rate advisory for the fiscal year 2023. So what the hell does that mean? Earlier, we were talking about this company going public, and they are filing to go public on NASDAQ, and they will have to register securities. So in order to do that, they have to pay the SEC a fee because there's a lot of administrative costs involved in taking your company public. And for the first time, we have the first time in a long time, we have that fee being raised from $92.70 per $1 million of securities to $110.20 per $1 million of securities. So I think my math's right here. If you're registering $1 billion of securities, you'll have to pay $17,000 more. So I'm not sure how much this matters at all.
It matters if you care about inflation, AJ. In this country, this administration continues to ignore what impacts your everyday citizens.
Sarcasm.
Okay. Thanks again, Brandon, for yet another jab in the eye to your everyday walking around fella in this country. Okay.
That was sarcasm, folks.
Did you see him freak out on the Trump? Yeah, as he gets older and older, he's starting to become, what do they call him? Dark Biden or something. It's like he just doesn't give a shit anymore.
When he goes off. Yeah.
Yeah, when he when he loses his cool and freaks out. He said everybody has the right to be an idiot at a
so good.
At a rally the other day. Yeah.
What a great line. I'm gonna get that tattooed. That's my next tattoo.
I wish he would open up a little bit more.
You wish Biden would?
I wish every politician would, as long as they're, aren't lying to their constituents or harming them like so many do.
Well, we can never run for office because of this podcast, so we're good to go. Don't worry, we've already opened up.
Everyone can run for every office at this point. We're good.
I did put this article in you.
Speaking of running around,
yeah.
We have the Sniff Spot article about dogs that need some exercise. AJ popped in this GeekWire article about a startup.
I did not put this in here for you. My sister put this in here and wanted me to tell you about it because my sister just got a puppy.
Oh, cute. Yeah, this website GeekWire has the most ads I've ever seen on a website ever. It's like Angel Fire from 2016 over here, or 2012. It's like you click anywhere and it opens up 14 websites. Anyway, so yeah, this guy's got a little startup, which is cute.
Cute. Yeah, this was like an article about a startup, but it felt like it was an article about like Jimmy's home goods store that opened. Like it felt like it was small stakes. Like I had an idea, I made an app, and it's working in my city. Like a good old fashioned, I don't know, business story. Like it was so wholesome, right? It's like Airbnb for puppy play. That's the app idea, right? You're in a metropolitan city. Maybe you have a little dog and you don't want to go to the big dog park with all the big scary dogs. You can actually rent space and have a meetup with some other dogs who are like your dog, who might get along with it a little bit better than the big scary dogs at the dog park.
Well, no, I think it's
thoughts.
It's you get private space for your dog, like a private backyard. So just you and yeah. So, I mean, my thoughts are cool. Like, sure, like another app. Like, but I don't think this could exist in New York City, by the way, because there's like no yards at all. There's no private yards. Makes sense for Seattle.
Yeah,
but it makes me wonder, like, about the nature of.
Sorry, go ahead.
Why don't you get your sister's idea out? Because I'm going to ramble for a little bit.
All right. No, she was just saying she used it because she got a specific kind of dog and wanted to meet up with other dogs of that same breed so they could all like hang out together. And they all met up and they had a great experience with Sniff Spot.
Oh, so they got a bunch of Weimaraners together or whatever in some backyard and they rented the backyard. Correct.
It's not a Weimaraner, but yeah.
You know what I mean.
Silken Windhound.
Nobody cares. Anyway, so nobody cares about your sister's dog breed. Sorry, Maddie. Anyway, so it makes me think about now we got to take up all this time. Well, I was going to pontificate about the nature. It's not a genius. I'm just curious, like, how many little apps can there be? There's obviously tens of thousands of apps for all these little things. It reminds me of the swimming pool app. Like, you can rent the swimming pool.
Oh, Swimply? Hell yeah.
Swimply, yes. Whatever. Like, do all these apps get to continue to exist in perpetuity, or do they have to scale up and go public, or do they have to get acquired, or like, can these little businesses just sit and operate and have developers and admin people and sales and marketing people just kind of be cool small businesses where you can rent out space? And
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, this article feels like it's like, oh, this is a good idea. And he hired someone. Maybe he raised a little bit of money. Like, you don't need $10 million to run this app. You need a few developers, that's salary, a little bit of overhead for servers, maybe some support, but you can probably have someone part-time. Like, you could run this app forever.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what the expenses are. It reminds me of Turo too, where you can rent out your car. And it makes me think about the sharing economy, right? Like Airbnb supposedly had a terrible impact on a lot of cities, but in reality, it probably helped people with excess inventory. And makes me think about private versus public space, right? Like, if we're just never going to trust the government to run shared spaces in America, do we have to rely on these little sharing apps so that people can actually... Yeah.
I mean, parking in New York City, like, or it's not just New York. Like, have you seen those apps where to like tell you which parking spaces are open?
I have not. No.
It's crazy. Yeah. It'll like say, oh, by the way, like 5 blocks away, there's an open spot, and it's, it's a city. Like, it has all the data on the parking meters, or it's like, oh, you can go to that garage which has 10 spots available. You should probably know this as a car owner.
No, I'll take my tickets on the chin like a real man. Speaking of real men,
Mississippi confirms.
Whoa. I was going to make a yogurt reference as a real...
Don't shit on my Chobani IPO if you're about to shit on this.
I was going to say real men eat Chobani. Okay?
Oh, okay. All right.
There we go.
I love Chobani.
All right.
Anyway,
Well, shoot your shot then.
There's no shot here. The shot was shot and failed. They're withdrawing their IPO. So we talked about this in an early episode. We were very excited about the Chobani IPO. I think it was filed last November, but they have now withdrawn the IPO, citing market conditions in a statement of the reason why they have withdrawn. So that's sad. Yeah, it was going to be a big windfall for employees. The equity was nicely distributed, but that's on pause right now because no one's going public except those real estate bros and their parents.
All right, and their parents, yeah. I wonder if this was a smart move for the employees, because as you and I know, like double trigger RSUs means that all the RSUs will not be taxable income to the employees until they go public. If they go public at a low valuation, the taxable income will be lower, but also the value of the stock that vests will be lower. If they wait until later, then they don't have the liquidity event until later. The value of the stock will potentially be higher, but the taxable income will also be higher. So I don't know. I guess they're trying to avoid low valuations, but also a lower tax bill right now. I don't know if it's probably driven not by employee considerations. They're
going to get acquired and employees are going to get nothing is probably what's going to happen.
If you have vested stock, you have vested stock.
No, but this was a specific plan for in the event that they do go public. It was stock grants at once they were public. It wasn't existing employee grants.
So they have what, phantom equity that only happens in the case of an IPO and not of an acquisition?
No, it was a plan for an equity plan once they were public. They don't have a current RSU plan.
Oh, so they were going to start an ESPP employee stock purchase plan once they go public. Oh, yeah. Well, that sucks. Sorry, guys. Sorry, yogurt heads.
Speaking of that sucks, sorry guys, Mississippi confirms it will tax forgiven student loan debt.
First of all, this article is not supposed to be about Mississippi. I was just highlighting I'm from Mississippi, so AJ's really leaning into the Mississippi part of this article.
No one cares.
If you can't dish it, you can't take it, don't dish it. Anyway, so this article is about the $10,000.
I'm so glad we discovered the mute button, by the way, this episode. Yeah. 58 episodes in, we both discovered the mute button for when we
and
cough.
And the chat function. Yes. All right, we got 2 minutes left. Let's stick the landing here. Let's land the plane. So Mississippi confirms
just don't
that
land in the swamp.
It will. Oh my God. Can I get one sentence out? Jesus. It will tax forgiven student loan debt. Okay. So we all know about Biden. Leave me alone. Let me finish the commentary. So Mississippi.
I blame this on you mostly.
Oh my God. All right. No editing.
18 years
Stick the landing. Mississippi is. Biden is forgiving $10,000 of student loans for people that are lower income, $20,000 for those with Pell Grants,
which are very low income,
super low income to even qualify for. So if you owed $20,000, now you only owe $10,000 or maybe even $0. Now in the tax world, if you owe somebody money and then that person says you no longer owe me money, that is taxable typically, because what's preventing me from giving you $20,000 and then saying you don't owe that to me anymore, and that not being taxable income? That's how everyone would pay each other to avoid taxation. Anyway, so at the federal level, they said that they're not going to tax it on your 1040, but states have a decision to make of whether or not they're going to tax that forgiveness. And I bet you all the red states, we pay our debts back when we take out loans down here, are going to tax everyone's student loan forgiveness, and the blue states will probably not tax it.
There was an article from MississippiToday.org, which is
heavy reader
interesting. Yeah. But they were saying that completely lost my train of thought. Anyways.
Well, you've got 6 seconds to stick it.
Yeah, so. There's train of thought has left the station. You've been a great audience. Thanks for listening to the Liquidity event. You can find us online at www.brooklynfi.com/episode 58.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Losers.
Losers.